it didn't happen here for a very specific variety of reasons. When we look at those results, we also need to be a little careful about crowing too easily about this party that performed so dismally.
Sure. Prof?
Yes, a few issues here. My experience is also that these types of ratings matter. They hurt the people who get the D's and the E's and the F's. Not just objectively by any objective measure from outside, but also in comparison with their colleagues. And one of the reasons I also know that is I didn't take the consultancy job, but a few years ago I was approached to try to help construct an alternative to the Mail and Guardians that would have had more depth, would have had more balance, fairer.
So can we quote you on that now?
You may. And they really wanted to do an alternative project to counter that one that maybe they didn't, they just wanted me to help to construct it. They didn't try to get me to do anything on that or to get to findings, but they were acutely aware of that and they wanted to create another narrative. Like we see is a big project where the SABC is still, I think, some of the heads have rolled or others are rolling. But I think that the level of apparatus that generates new narratives in society, I think that runs very, very deeply. I listen to news bulletins all over the show and compare, and I see how different parties, different issues are being constructed all the time by different media, and how the SABC consistently, even in these times of a few journalists, a few other and editors, etc., good, I really respect that, where they revolt, so, but it goes much deeper. There is so much that I've not changed, even in these times, and there's so much. It isn't just about the projection of protest and violence and whether to do it or not. It goes much, much deeper than that. And it's about the creation of public narratives and trying to capture some of the sentiments on the ground, like we also see at the moment in terms of new patriotism and new nationalisms and identification in line with what students, young people have also been doing, colonialism and whiteness and the legacies of apartheid, the extent to which perhaps the ANC is not as responsible for what has not happened in the last 23, close to 23 years. Maybe it was more structural issues that cause these deficits and failures that we see in ANC governance. So, and I see that in, for example, SABC much more than in other electronic media, and how that narrative is being projected. It comes across in little news bulletins here and there. But it builds on some basic consciousness, and that's how I'm answering those other questions about the linkages. It captures, media especially often captures, media coverage captures sentiments that are emerging and then further build it. Or they have got the power very often to counter that. And it happens around us all the time in all directions, not just in one ideological direction. One fun little point here, what I also know, and there I really do not go along with us as the elite here constructing narratives and projecting steering analyses in certain ways. I do a lot of grassroots research and speak to, I hate the term, but ordinary people, not elite people, in their communities, and I see the way they relate to issues that have been pushed in the media, have been covered in the media. But they will relate to those when it articulates with their experiences on the ground. There is an incredible astuteness and wisdom at this ordinary level, grassroots level. People are not necessarily any leaders or any serious business profession, if they have jobs at all. But they have incredible wisdom and insights in what happens in higher politics. And they see some of it on the ground. It's illustrated through corruption. See some corruption on the ground in their own communities, how they are kept out of ANC branch meetings, etc. And they see coverage in the media on the big chiefs, big bosses, leaders, and they weave together the bigger narratives and the media debates and their own experiences. So I have a high respect for debates and consciousness at that level.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Evening, everybody. It's very interesting what we're talking about today, but I'm going to take it a little bit further to the beginning of the session. Earlier on, I think, is it Angelo?
Yeah.
We said initially the reports come out now, and after a bit of bubbly, at the end of the year and Christmas is over, honestly, the public doesn't really care anymore. We take no interest anymore. We forgot about it, so we don't really check up on it. We don't follow up on it, and so forth. Which brings me back to the question to Khadija. You're saying that the MPs actually look forward to seeing what is in the report. You made an example earlier on about a school kid. If I'm in a certain grade, obviously I'm being taught by multiple teachers, and I look forward to the score that they give me and the remarks and the comments that they make in my report. And next year, either I perform better or I don't, or whatever the case may be. But whatever is in that report needs to sort of like change my attitude, either for the worse or the better. Now, I would really like to know, us being the boss, as the public being the bosses as we've been referred to, who exactly are you consulting that should actually be taking interest after the bubbly has been taken? Clearly, if the majority at the end of the day does not give a damn about the report, we were not initially consulted. That's why we don't take any interest in what happens afterwards. Are they taking accountability? At the end, I'm about 5 months pregnant, and I'm hearing Zuma must go, this one must go. But at the end of the day, what we are canvassing for, we need to understand, should whatever everybody's canvassing for happen, who is going to inherit the mess?
Yeah.
On social media, I read a post the other day where one guy just said, so the DA has been in their chair now for about 3 months, and the e-tolls are still there. The roads have, the roads still have potholes.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, a mess is there. When we do canvass, who are we saying, or who are we implying will inherit the mess, and how will it be done? So I think you really need to start consulting us more before they take interest in what is inside the report card, than actually having us after you have put together the report card, and now all of a sudden they have an opinion, because you can't consult me because you want to sell your newspaper.
True.
That's how I feel. You need to consult me before.
No, I take your point, and I think that, and again, it's like what I said at the beginning, is that newspapers around the world are fighting for relevance, and the crisis of relevance definitely does come about when we've lost track of actually speaking to real people, and having them inform also what we do, and having their opinions included in what we do. That's something that we have to do better at the Mail and Guardian, and I take your point, and perhaps I think that that's something how, the way we can look at improving the Cabinet report card for 2017.
I need to wrap up. I'm only in about 2 minutes.
One question.
It must be. Just quick ones.